Boom. Welcome everyone, Mate Talk time. Hope everybody is well. Do you have a good drink? I hope you do. I do. Mine is my mate. Last week I had a gentleman from the UK reached out to me wanting to know where to buy mate from because he wants to be drinking mate while we're watching Mate Talk. Congrats. I hope you found the mate and hopefully you are enjoying this alongside me. Actually, I want to slowly convert the world to drinking mate. What do you think? It's good for you, so this, you know, it's a health drink. All right, let me begin. So the first thing that I want to do is talk about things that I'm testing. I was very fortunate to receive a gift from the beautiful people of ORMOND JAYNE. I am a big fan of this house. I've done a few reviews on their fragrances. I do have a number of their fragrances in my collection. This is a new one that's just come out. It's called Vanille d'Afrique. It is, so by the name, it made me think that this is a very sort of punchy vanilla fragrance. There's a fragrance by Nishané called Oliphant Afrique or Afrique. Anyway, I'll put it here. And that particular fragrance has a lot of strong animalic notes, you know, things like civet and oud and things of that nature. So it made me think in the same way that this would be like a really punchy vanilla fragrance. The opposite is true. There's a fragrance called Vanilla Powder by Maté Premier. That is this fragrance here is the antithesis. Nailed it. The antithesis, there we go, of vanilla powder, where vanilla powder is just really projects and strong and potent and all the rest of it. Vanille d'Afrique actually is a very, it's a more of a enveloping fragrance around you. The one thing when I first sprayed it, it was a warmer day here in Melbourne, and I felt that the projection on that warmer day was a lot stronger. It had a lot more presence about it. One thing that I detected in that opening was, and I'm sorry, I hesitated because only just now I looked at the notes, but at the time, as I was experiencing this fragrance, it made me think of a vanilla orchid. It took me a while to, because I've never smelt vanilla orchid. I've never been in nature and smelt that. But it made me, as I sort of started to unpick that and unwind that a bit, it made me think of, there's a place here in Melbourne, Botanical Gardens, where we have like a greenhouse and it has orchids in there. And the presence or the being inside the space, there's like a moisture in the air, there's warmth in the air also. There is a gentle floral note that's actually in there, and I don't know whether it is the flowers or does orchid have a smell? I don't know. But there is a gentle floral component to it. And I feel like this fragrance was just that. It made me think of this very wet, not wet earth, but this moisture, this delicate scent profile. It does have that vanilla from the very beginning. Upon looking, or as I prepared for today, I had a look, and some of the opening notes of the fragrance are things like magnolia. I am proud to say that as I was smelling, I'm like, okay, so it's not an orchid, so what? And I thought, I think it's magnolia. I'm getting this magnolia sort of scent profile to it, but not overtly. It's not really strong and pronounced. The vanilla still is the dominant factor in this fragrance, but there is orchid. Sorry, not orchid. There is magnolia, osmanthus, jasmine. So all of these create this beautiful, very gentle, very moist floral bouquet, but all of it, the crowning glory is definitely that vanilla that's in there. And I believe the vanilla is in the heart of it. New fragrance, so I'm still discovering it. On a warmer day, magic. Today, I'm wearing it today. It's very cold. Well, it's kind of miserable outside. It's not performing as well. So I think, and being the fact that this is now being released, I'm gonna say that Europe, you guys are going into summer. So maybe this is designed as a summer fragrance. The other thing too is I've got a number of perfumes on me, one of them being this baby here, and forget about it. Nothing can compete against this monster. And I've got a few other monsters here. So yeah, so unfortunately, the Vanille d'Afrique is getting enveloped. I'm gonna continue to test. However, as a person who loves vanilla fragrances, this one here, comfortably in the Pure Magic category, it is an English style perfumery, meaning that unlike black iris like I just showed you. It's not Arabian, meaning that it's not, you know, big, powerful, punchy fragrances that fill a room. This is a lot more about subtlety. This would be beautiful as a date fragrance. This would be beautiful as a going out fragrance. But I think it needs warmer weather. That's my gut, only because today it's just not really performing as well on me. Boom, testing. All right, moving on. So for those who saw last week's episode, I did go see Dune. It was my birthday. And enjoyed Dune on IMAX. Let me just say, if you need to go see it. All right, so those who haven't seen it yet, if you're umming and erring, just go see it. This is an incredible, incredible film. It makes me happy again. It made me fall in love with cinema again. I've been a little bit, and not that this is a film channel, but I have been a little bit disappointed with movies coming out. It's like, you know, I want to be taken away, you know. I want to be transported to a new place. I want characters to be strong. There's one scene, Lady Jessica. All right, let me just say, I gotta say this. Because one thing that I'm gonna rant a little bit, okay? One thing that I get frustrated is when the script, the movie's trying to tell me that this is a strong, powerful woman. I'm like, just show me that she is strong and powerful. Don't verbally tell me I'm a strong, powerful woman. It's like, it almost takes away that energy from that character. Spoiler alert, I'm so sorry. So Paul is fighting off some of the Harkonnens, and he misses one of them who's about to, you know, attack him. Lady Jessica comes along, and man, she does this bing bang boom on this guy. And the scene, after she's done her thing, the shot is her, the Dune, she's silhouetted with this backlight. Man, I turned to him because I went to see it with my daughter. And I said to her, that's a strong, powerful woman. I mean, you don't need to tell me, just show me how strong and how incredible. And anyway, you gotta go see this film. You gotta go see this film. I was wearing Le Air du Désert, Le du Désert Mauricain, which is the fragrance that I attributed to Paul Atreides. And when Paul was doing his thing, I'm smelling the fragrance and I'm like, that's right, Paul. Go get him, you know. If I would recommend, whatever you think the fragrance should be, put on that fragrance because it will take you into that place. I know it did for me. So anyway, and I had a message from another subscriber recently saying they enjoyed last week's sort of fantasy lineup of fragrances, and what about the other characters within Dune? I will do it. So give me till next week or the week after. I'll put together another fantasy lineup of fragrances of what I believe. I'm going to go see it again, by the way. I'm going to go see Dune 2 again. So another fantasy lineup of what I think the other characters are wearing. There it is. Ramadan is on at the moment. Not on at the moment, but a lot of nations around the world are celebrating Ramadan. I did mention that I had a dessert that I got from one of my Lebanese shop that I buy my stuff from. And this dessert, a lot of people said it's baklava. It's not baklava. I know what baklava is. I enjoy baklava. This thing here had, it was pistachio for starters, but it had this layer of egg white. It was like a frothy egg white, like a marshmallow. The scent profile of that egg white and the taste of it was orange blossom. So it was beautifully blended with this orange blossom. I don't know what it is, but I will go find out. I didn't get a chance this week. If there's any beautiful Ramadan desserts that you'd like me to go hunt, I will go check it out next week, and I promise that I'll report in and tell you about that. Boom. All right, let me move on. But before I do that, a little drink, please. Start the clock. All right, so I have, I'm doing a meetup in Sydney. I will be in Sydney on Saturday the 20th. I'm going to the Libertine store, which is in Paddington, the new store that they've just opened. On the same day, Juliet Has a Gun will also be doing a pop-up. So I'm looking forward to exploring more on that particular fragrance fragrance house, I should say. Sorry, fragrance house. I will be there from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. If you're in Sydney, you'd like to catch up, I'd like to meet you personally. So if you are in that area, I'd love to see you at the Libertine store, and we can have a chance you tell me fragrances that you love, all right? So I'd love to explore that. They've got just about everything known to man in that store, so yeah, look forward to meeting you guys on Saturday the 20th. Now, NFC Live is happening on Sunday the 21st, Europe and the USA, and it will be on Monday the 22nd, this part of the world. I'm looking for a member. So if you're a member of the channel and you'd like to be spotlighted, last month we had Michael. We went through a range of fragrances from Perfume de Mali, PDMs. That was a lot of fun. So if you are a member and you'd like to showcase some fragrances that you love, or a fragrance family, or a fragrance note, or a house, reach out, let me know. I would like to smell them alongside you. So that's the only thing that, if you could tell me in advance, if you would like to be spotlighted, and that way I can experience the fragrances with you and we can share the love that you have for whatever it may be. I'm putting it out there. I love creeds, and I love someone to take that baton and we can do a bit of a creed lineup, or anything. I've got a generous collection. I'm sure I can find, if I can't, I can reach out and get samples, and that way I can test alongside you guys. Now, the last thing is, so to do that, you need to be a member of the channel. Costs $4 a month. $4 a month, but the real reason why you want to become a member of the channel is for this. Give me a second, I'm gonna get this recording. Boom, look at this. Look at this. Look at the people that are in this. So currently, we've just hit 60. We have 60 members. Which is really exciting to see. Thank you, everyone. Actually, in the last week, I think it just went whoop. I think there was like 7 or 8 members that came online. So welcome, everyone. It's so good to have you all as part of the channel. It's a great support to me, but also gives me a chance to do this. One of the things now, the motivation behind this was I got a lot of people prior to be setting up the membership saying, I'd like to test out this fragrance. What do you think of that fragrance? So the whole thing with let me send you something is you tell me what you like, and then I'll send some samples to you. These are legit samples. I'm not going to decant anything, so you'll get samples from the actual companies themselves. Tell me what you love, and I'll send that through to you. There's a fairly generous package that I send across. So there's more than just 2 or 3 samples. So there's a fairly generous sample set that I send you, and it's anywhere around the world. Because we have 60, I'm going to spin twice. That way we give more of a chance. Good luck. Good luck. Boom! Fred, my man. Fred, congratulations to you. Let me know what you like. We get some things happening. Spinning again. Fred is the consigliere of the channel. Cheers to you, my friend. Good luck. Emily, awesome. Emily, congrats to you. All right, so congrats to everyone who just won, Emily and Fred. Send me a DM. I will organize some samples and get them across to you guys. All right, bada bing, let me move on. So have a look at this. This is the community tab of the channel. I feel like a fool because this was there all along, and for whatever reason, I just haven't exploited, which is true. I haven't really exploited this facility, you know, this ability to actually communicate with everyone in a different and unique way. So have a look at the community tab often, because there's going to be a lot of different things happening. One of the things that I did a little while back, and I'm going to give everybody till next week, all right? And the question that I asked were, out of all these different fragrance notes, and I put down 5, what would you like me to create a lineup on first? Previously, I did a vanilla lineup, an amber lineup, very successful, got a lot of great feedback on that. So I would like to create 5 different lineups, on these particular notes here. Now, you tell me which one, so the power's in your hand, which one I should do first. So far, even though there was a lot of comments going, oh, oud, I'm bored with oud, you know, do something different, oud's winning. All right, so all the votes are on oud at the moment. Currently, oud has got 850 votes. versus Rose, who's coming in second place at 726. So if you want to change the balance of this, then jump in, vote for what you would prefer, and you have till next week. So as of next week, I'll do the cutoff, and then I'll create based on which one won. So my brain just went shut down. So Oud at the moment is and I've already got some awesome Oud fragrances lined up, and I know that anyway. I've got some awesome fragrances lined up. So tell me what you'd like me to do first, but so far Oud is the one. All right. Now, one of the questions I got asked in that, in the comments is, why did I not bring up Iris? So let me put everybody's mind at rest. There are so many incredible fragrance notes that I want to explore. But like everything, you got to start somewhere. So these are the 5 that I thought, because it's all about what's in my collection. I want to, talk about fragrances that I own and fragrances that I enjoy, so that I can share that with you guys. Now, one of the questions was Iris. Now, I don't have a lot of Iris fragrances, but because I'm slowly growing my collection in that area, but I do have some here. So what I thought, in the meantime, as I continue to find really unique Iris fragrances that I can include in my collection, I'll give you like a little tester, a teaser, or a sample of some really nice. If you like Iris as a fragrance note, then I would like to put forward these ones here. I'm going to do a small pause. I'm just going to take a drink. Good. All right. So my mon prof de français, Mr. Luc, mentioned to me that that the Iris is, and he was right, the Iris is probably one of the most expensive fragrance notes that is out there. Did some research prior to setting up for today. I'm not going to give you a lot of facts. I'm going to save that for when I do the Iris lineup. One of the points is that yes, it is actually a highly expensive fragrance note, and it could reach up to, or the cost can be up to $100,000. Sorry, 100,000 euros a kilo. And the reason for that is that because it takes such a long time to get the end product, or the raw ingredient, or the essence for perfumery. Sometimes it takes up to 6 years. It takes 3 to 4 years for the bulb to actually mature, and then it needs to dry, and there's quite a process there. The other thing I found out is that the flower is not used. The petals and things of that nature are not used. There's only a very little amount of fragrance in the actual petal itself. All of it really exists in the bulb, in the actual root of the plant. And what happens is that it becomes a thing called orris butter. We continue to call it iris because iris we can visualize. We can see this beautiful iris flower. But it's actually orris butter that is the component that creates the beautiful scent profile in an iris fragrance. I also found out that it takes up to 500 kilos of the bulbs to create 1 kilo of the actual essence, or the oil that goes into perfumery. So again, a very expensive process, a very long, arduous process to actually create this note. One of the key facets of, or some of the key facets of iris is that, or the orris butter, is that it has like 3 or 4 different components. One, it can be very earth-like, and we'll talk about that in a second. Some of the fragrances I have here has an earth-like component to it. It does have a powderiness to it. It can also be green. It has a green, vegetal almost note linked to it. And then it also has this, did I say earthiness? Green, powdery, earthy, a slight woody component that it has, and powdery are the different facets there. So depending on how the perfumer is using it, can accentuate these different components. And the fragrances that I have in front of me will cover off these particular notes. Boom, let me move on. Let me move into it. So if you're unsure with iris, or if you don't have any iris fragrances, the first one that I would recommend to you is this one here, Valle de la Luna. It's an FUEGUIA 1833 fragrance. This is a new inclusion in my collection, and the reason why I got it is because I do want to expand my iris fragrances. One thing that I love about this, so as I said, if you are new to iris, start here. The iris component is very subdued. It's not, and I'll show you the last one that I've got, which is here, which is powerhouse. So from here, to here, there's a huge gap. This one here is very much about celebrating the earthy dryness of the orris butter. It actually, in true FUEGUIA form, it likes to represent I guess the notes in a planetary way. The central core of this is the iris. It's being supported by sandalwood and amber. For me, I don't detect a lot of that amber component. Let me just smell. So I don't detect the amber component, but what I am detecting is the woodiness, the woodiness of that sandalwood, but also the very dry, earth-like component of that iris. Valle de la Luna is in reference to a large sort of national park that is in Chile. It means Moon Valley, and from these images you can see that it's a very dry, very arid, desert-like location. It's almost, I guess the essence is that it looks like, you know, the moon or a moon landscape. As you can see from the images, not a green thing in sight. And I feel that this fragrance is just that, very earthy, very dry. The orris butter or the iris is definitely there. You can detect that component, and as you begin to sort of explore iris more, you can see that there is, but it's, again, it's very subdued. It's very sort of drawn back. It does have the supporting component of that sandalwood, so you are getting that dry sandalwood, earthy-like component from the iris. Good place to start. It is a very it's more of a body scent. It goes from a moderate to a low. It's great for the office. The longevity on this I'm finding for myself, as I mean, actually, sorry. The longevity for me is about 5 or 6 hours. On a day like today, perfect. So where the Vanille d'Afrique it's not really sort of projecting as much, this, on the other hand, is doing a really good job. So I think it likes the cooler weather. I haven't tested it in summer yet, so I don't know what it's like in warmer weather, but on today's day, the actual sillage of this and the presence of this fragrance is awesome. Boom. So Valle de la Luna, one that I would recommend. The next one that I would say, so if we're going to stay in that earthy sort of green, no, sorry, so we're going to stay with that earthy component, but now let's move a little bit into the more green, then I would recommend to you Meander. This is 2 weeks in a row. Excuse me, itchy nose. 2 weeks in a row. So last week I mentioned that I saw Lady Jessica wearing Meander because it had the two components of the Caladan, where she was from, which is green and has the earthiness of that area, of that planet, and then across to Arrakis, which can have the dryness. And for me, frankincense really sort of celebrates, or the incense notes, myrrh, frankincense, celebrates sort of the arid component of that location. Sandra was wearing this. This was her Lady Jessica fragrance when we went to see Dune. This baby is potent. So unlike Valle de la Luna, which is very dry, earth-like, when it comes to Meander, and I mentioned this last week, I can almost see misty mountains, all right? So you can see the earth or the mountain, but now there is the vegetation and there is a slight moisture in the air. And this fragrance is exactly that. It does it with, in my opinion, the carrot seed, which has a very earth-like component, with that orris butter together, creates this beautiful powderiness, this beautiful creaminess to the fragrance. Then there's all those other elements of incense. There's a spiciness there too because of the black pepper and the pink pepper. Is that right? Did I just... Yes, and the cypriol. The cypriol is the other one. So it creates this sort of spiciness component to it. Incredible fragrance. Now, when it comes to its projection and its staying power, longevity, two stories. One, we went to see the film, we went into town. So Sandra would have been wearing the fragrance for when we got back into the car, would have been wearing the fragrance now for about 7-8 hours. I could smell it on her. As we're moving around the city, I could smell it. Anyway, we got into the car, and you know when you sort of sit down, you create a bit of a gush of air around you? She says to me, I don't smell my fragrance anymore. And I'm like, and I said to her, no, that fragrance is still pronounced. When she sat down, the air that she emitted, or the scent cloud that came, was meander all the way through. To support that, we were, so we went to church on Sunday, and I love that I did the praying hands. Anyway, we went to church on Sunday, and the 2 rows behind us was my son and his family. Anyway, Sandra came to sit down, and I sort of just turned my head, and we caught eyes. This is Nelson, and he says to me, he's like, and so he's like, I can smell your perfume, 2 rows, and I'm like, we're doing all this in sign language in the middle of church. Anyway, I'm like, and he goes, I'm like, Mama's wearing this. So it gives you an idea of the sillage, the trail that this baby has. It's a glorious fragrance that does celebrate the orris note because of that, the earth and creaminess component. However, and this is the reason why it's not, in my opinion, a true orris celebration or iris celebration, because there are so many other notes that surround this, like I said, the spicy components. Then there's the frankincense and incense. However, if you smell this one here, you'll understand what the orris begins to smell like, and you'll be able to detect it in this particular fragrance here, alongside those other notes that support it. Bada boom, let me move on. Sponsoring, please. Anyway, if you haven't tried Meander, please, you need to go test this baby out. Glorious and strong, like I said, Lady Jessica, beautiful character, and so well played, so well played. As in the actress, I forgot her name, but this incredible actress right here, she's amazing. All right, now one that is, it's wacky. This is super polarizing. Some people really go, whoa, like, whoa. And other people are like, bleh. What are you spraying on me? I'm one of those advocates. I love this fragrance. And you can see this is the old packaging. So I've had this for a while. Now, for starters, MEMO, I love what they do. I do love their Clear de Nomades. We said that terrible, I apologize. Their nomadic leathers, essentially, and how they celebrate the leather note from different regions. This is Italian leather. This is the most avant-garde, most unusual, most unique fragrance. You do not smell this up close. Up close, you'd be like, it just, do the spinny eyes emoji face, because it's like, what is this? The sillage of this is the joy and the glory of this fragrance. On opening, it has a very distinct green tomato leaf note, to the point, like, growing up as a kid, my father was always in the garden, so I'm very familiar with crushing the tomato leaf and that very almost acrid smell that it has, very distinct smell that the tomato leaf has. This embodies it perfectly. It mixes it. So on the opening, you're getting a very green, very distinct tomato leaf. As I said, very almost bitter and acrid in its scent profile. As it begins to evolve, in the heart is the orris butter again. And now you're getting this beautiful, creamy, earthy component accentuated by the green of the tomato leaf, but it almost gives it a chocolate vibe. It's actually quite a unique, it's a wild ride. So if you want something that's unique and different and you want to celebrate niche perfumery, this baby here does it really, really well. As it begins to dry down, you are getting a leather animalic component to it. However, you never lose the elements of that green, earthy that is provided both by the green tomato leaf. Well, it's not even, I'm gonna say it's an accord, because I'd be surprised if they actually extracted a tomato leaf. But that distinct note of that tomato leaf with the orris butter, and the two of them together with that slight leather animalic component to it, pure magic. Pure magic. All right, I've done an episode on this before. The young lady that was in this is early on, so don't judge me too hard, please. I always get told off that I was talking over the top of Tash. Tash is like a sister to me. We're very good friends, and she just knows my personality. I get a little bit excited. So, like I said, don't judge me too hard. This was early on. Now I know to I stay quiet now and I listen to people as opposed to trying to... Sorry, camera stopped. Financier, please, can I buy another camera? I can already hear a no. No. So yeah, with Tash, with that production that I did with her, at first she's like, what is this? You know, what is this voodoo? Then as she started to, as it began to dry down, you can see that she's like, whoa, this is really unique. One of the long stories is I actually decanted some of this for her. Does she love this fragrance? I don't know, but I know that I decanted. I know that she was enjoying this particular fragrance. So something unique. It's wacky on the opening. So I'll give you a heads up that green tomato leaf is very destabilizing, but that orris and again, so this would be one that I wouldn't include in that lineup because I think the celebration is more on the green leaf and the leather component that's in the dry down. But a beautiful fragrance nonetheless. You can detect the orris, okay? Just a heads up. And the reason why I know that is because the next two fragrances are a celebration of all things iris. Number one, black iris. This, for those who don't know, this is a monster, all right? And I'm talking just monster. This is an incredible, potent, beautiful, powerful fragrance. Actually, as I started saying that, I remember the emojis that I had on the last one. So again, I know I've spoken about this one recently, but this is really, really incredible. I do have Interlude Man. So when Interlude Man came out, I did get that one. And I feel bad saying this, but I prefer this one. Interlude Man has, and I tested again recently, has more sharper edges. It does have, it does feel like it has more, it has claws. It has a very pronounced sort of, and I know that I've been told 54, so Interlude 54, has now sort of smoothed those edges down. So you're still getting that beautiful Interlude Man, but with much more rounded edges. If you can't afford 54, then Black Iris is that round component to it. It's not a flanker. In my opinion, this is not, if you have Interlude Man, you can comfortably get Black Iris. For me, it's a different interpretation or iteration of of a fragrance. It starts off with rosemary, and I feel that the rosemary with the orris butter that's in the heart of that Black Iris does this beautiful green component to it. So you're now getting another facet of the iris, and it celebrates more the green side of the orris butter. But with Interlude as its a pillar. So things like the deeper, stronger notes of oud and patchouli. I think there is cedar wood also in the base. They create this potent fragrance. This is not, so if you're new to niche perfumery, so I've done it in scale. So if you're brand new, start here. Valle de la Luna, you'll appreciate it, you'll enjoy it, and then migrate your way through. Here, it's going to be wacky, but you'll be able to understand it. Here, I'm going to say that this is now your veteran to a 5-star general. I think anyone earlier than that, it might be a little bit too much. It will blow your brain. The other thing too, that I don't recommend you overspray. This is one of those fragrances that will last forever, that it will project like a monster. It is regal and refined. It is really, so the iris component of the fragrance is beautifully celebrated. I had a recent experience where I wore it, and this was a really bad decision. I wore it on, I was on a plane, I was going to I was going interstate. And I wanted, because the one thing about when I go to the airport, there's a lot of movement, and I tend to sweat my fragrance off, so I need something with a bit of staying power. However, I turned this up to 15, not even 11. I made the wrong choice in getting this, because on the plane, the lady that was sitting next to me, and as you know, on these planes these days, you're a little bit sort of compressed in. I always love the armrest, sort of, am I going forward or am I backwards? You sort of start. I love it when some people go, my armrest, and you're like, we're not gonna share? They're like, nope, my armrest. And so you're like this the whole time. Anyway, the lady kept looking at me. And so I was like the window seat, and she just kept looking, and I don't know whether she was looking at me or looking out the window, but I know that she sort of kept looking and kept looking. At one stage, I was going to say to her, can you smell my fragrance? I was going to say, can you smell, because I'm thinking, is she smell? Anyway, but it's weird, right? It's an awkward situation. You put next to a person you don't really know. So do you talk to them sometimes? Anyway, so I didn't say anything. And I did think, maybe it's my perfume. Maybe she can detect my perfume. Anyway, it wasn't until the next morning. All right, so I'd done a whole day, airport, sweating, moving, bop, boom. Got to my meetings, did my meetings. I was out late that night, and so a full day. Next morning when I woke up, and I think I took off my top, I could smell black eye. I'm like, I just sprayed it. All right? Not just a faint hint of it. I could smell, and I'm like, and that's when I'm like, that woman could smell my perfume, and she was probably going, what in this world are you wearing? So just as a heads up, if you're gonna be in a confined space, I don't recommend you spray this fragrance. If you're gonna be in an outdoor location, going out for dinner or anything of that nature, amazing, gorgeous. I'm telling you now, everybody's gonna be able to pick up your fragrance and your scent. Last one, this one. All right, so now this is a beautiful celebration of all things iris. This is Iris MALIKHAN. I can never say it quite right, but MALIKHAN. Now, Iris MALIKHAN is by MAISON CRIVELLI. This is one of the very first iris fragrances that I bought. And I have to be completely honest, and that is that when I bought it because I wanted to muscle up, not necessarily because I'm like, whoa, I am in love. You know, this is a fragrance that I just absolutely adore and I need to own. When I first bought it, I realized that this was a beautiful celebration of all things iris, and I thought I need to have this as part of my collection to train my nose and to get more experience in this area. Now, and actually in revisiting it now, this is all the facets that I mentioned earlier. So it does have that earthy component of the iris butter. It has that distinct greenness of the facet of it. It does have the powderiness that's in there too. The wood I feel has been toned down, but then you're getting all these other components, like there is a slight chocolate note to it, but it doesn't lose the earthy greenness of the actual fragrance. This is another monster, but it's interesting. Sorry, this is another monster. Projects really well. Longevity on this fragrance is exceptional. It's interesting that if I compare the Iris MALIKHAN with the Italian leather, so the Italian leather we know has some leather components to it. If I'm not mistaken, let me just see, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. It does, yeah. So it does have a slight leather accord in here too, but with a vanilla touch. So I find that Italian leather tends to be a little bit more on the green, sort of acrid sort of scent profile, whereas here it's a lot smoother. But the two are very similar, actually. But that green tomato note, it stays throughout the fragrance. It's quite unique. If you want to know what the full celebration of Iris MALIKHAN is the one that I would recommend to you. This is now embodies all parts of that beautiful iris note. Boom. That's it. Done. All right. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that. I do look forward to seeing any additional votes come through. If no votes come through, Oud is the winner. That is the first production that's coming out, and that'll come out in about 2 weeks' time. I'll do that lineup. If not, good luck. I'd love to see what now happens, what's the race going to be, and if whether another fragrance note pegs it. Put forward any other notes that you'd like me to explore. I will in time cover them off. As I said, I'll do a proper lineup video on all things iris in the coming months. Wish you all an awesome week, everybody, and I'll see you guys all on the next Maté Talk.